We are live, brother.
Folks, welcome to the show where it ain't just ball talk, it's Vol talk, baby. You're here with myself, Blake. You're here with my brother, Austin, and we're here to talk all things volunteer sports. And today, Austin, is a special day because we are hoping and praying that we can reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube today. We are 10 subscribers away. We are 990. Never thought we'd see the day. Look, we're still in our humble beginnings. Thousands, not a ton, but hey, it's a huge milestone for us. Austin, we recently surpassed 100,000 views all time for the channel. That was huge. And now we're looking at 1,000 subs. Wish I had better news to talk about, Austin, today for the people. But it's going to be a fun, exciting day. We got a lot to talk about, Austin.
Yeah, we have a fun show, man. A lot of stuff about NIL and whatnot. More portal news for football, and then we'll touch on the basketball team at the very end. They've kind of all made us pretty upset at this point in the season. But yeah, huge milestone. If we hit 1K, who knows? God willing, if we hit 1K today or tomorrow, a year from now, whenever it is. But it's a pretty cool milestone, man. So I appreciate all the listeners.
Yeah, we obviously can't thank everyone enough for all the support that we have gotten since we started the channel. It's been absolutely massive. We absolutely love it. And we love chatting with you guys. We love doing this with you guys. So please, if you join us, jump in the chat. Let us know what you think on all these things we're going to talk about. Like Austin kind of alluded to, we've got a jam-packed show for you today. We are talking QB, Austin. We have a QB, but we didn't get a QB out of the transfer portal. Now, as I understand it, we can still get one, and we're going to talk about what looks like might be developing for us in the way of a backup QB out of the portal. But no one can enter the portal at this point, and we have yet to pick up a QB from the portal. And so we're going to be talking about that. Looking like GMac, baby. We're going to be talking about Arion Carter. We're going to be talking about NIL in general, Austin. Danny White had some interesting comments recently, especially with an interesting situation with Miami and their quarterback and kind of tampering with Duke. And so we're going to talk about that. And then, Austin, since we last talked about the portal, there have been additional updates. We have landed a few more key players that we want to talk about. And then, of course, as you mentioned, we will briefly talk about basketball at the end, men's basketball, and then also shout out the Lady Vols who are playing Alabama today. So jam-packed stuff, Austin, a lot to get into. But again, folks, we can't thank you enough for the support. But please, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe right now. We are 10 subscribers away from 1,000. And so if you could get us there, we would certainly appreciate it. So smash the subscribe button, smash the like button on this video. That helps the video get out to more viewers, and then jump in the chat as well, because that also helps us reach more viewers. And we love chatting with you guys. So let us know your thoughts. And yeah, we're going to respond, Austin, as much as we can to the good folks at home who are tuning in. But without further ado, brother, let's jump right into the big question on everyone's mind.
Let's get into
The main topic for today, which is our quarterback. We dropped a clip recently on George McIntyre and the QB situation. Go check out that clip if you haven't already. But Austin, we've had some updates since then. So the portal has now closed. Again, as you were explaining to me before the pod started today, we are able to still bring in someone if they are still currently looking for a school. However, no one can now enter the portal. The portal is closed, but we can still bring someone in. And so we might be looking to do that. You sent me some news on a quarterback that we might be looking to pick up, but it looks like he would definitely be a backup.
Yes.
And so, Austin, brother, it looks like it's all but confirmed that George McIntyre is going to be QB1.
Yeah. And I honestly, if I had to predict before the portal window happened, if that were the case, that would probably have been one of my last predictions. But listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I think maybe it was predictable because George McIntyre never even considered hitting the portal, it seemed like. So that wasn't even on the table. And we targeted a couple big guys, but we didn't get in on everyone. We got in on it a little bit late. Really, our main target was Levitt, and then waiting out on Joey's decision, which is still pending, by the way. So
Right.
it's not set in stone that McIntyre's QB1. However, on our thumbnail, if you all see the boat pick, the boat pick that George McIntyre posted with a bunch of receivers, they were in Miami this past week working out together, which for one, I love to see, right? You love to see our potential QB1 working out with the receivers. But for two, it tells me, okay, it's probably McIntyre time. It's probably McIntyre time. And I think the fact that we only targeted a few potential quarterbacks tells me Heupel and the staff were saying, okay, if we can go out and get some of the top names in the portal, and really that was Levitt, or even Sworsby a little bit, but I think it was mostly Levitt, man. We were really in on Levitt. And if you can go out and get Levitt, that's, in their opinion, the coaching staff's opinion, was a clear upgrade for what's on the roster, and it gives us a good chance to win in 2026. I don't even know if that's the case. I don't even know if I agree with that assessment based on Levitt's 2024 season. And this is before he was hurt, people. I know he got hurt. He was not good before he got hurt last year. He just wasn't as good. He took a step back from 2023. Or excuse me, from 2024 and in 2025. But point being is, I believe the coaching staff. And I was saying, like, well, do they actually believe in McIntyre? Like, is this why they're going after Levitt? But the fact that they only went after Levitt is like, okay, we're sure he's a sure thing, but everyone else were like, okay, everyone else is like, it's equal to George McIntyre or even worse to us, so we're gonna ride with McIntyre. And again, this is all pending the Joey decision, which is still up in the air. But where I stand on it, Blake, I'm fine with it, right? Like, I've talked about like how he has upside, how he was rated a 5-star quarterback at some point. He has the intangible of loving Tennessee, which I think actually matters. Like, in this day and age of everyone bouncing for more money, like, don't you think it's an edge that somebody actually wants to be at the school that they're at? I think that's an edge. And I know people are still concerned about the weight, and there's like, I mean, we're getting people in our comments, Blake, telling us how he just can't gain weight. Like, apparently that's a thing. He just can't gain weight because you have all these allergies or whatever. Here's the thing with the weight in the quarterback. It really only matters for injury. Like, if he can play and not get hurt, then it's not a big deal. Now, for like a lineman, you want him to be bigger because, like I was talking about last season, it's like coming into this year, it's like, oh, well, David Sanders, he has to put on weight because you're in the trenches. Like, you're going to get moved if you don't have weight. Quarterback, that's not the case. It's really just a concern with injury. And Blake, if he can stay healthy, I think the weight's not that big a deal.
Yeah, and assuming, of course, that he's got the arm strength that we need, right, to make those big-time throws, because obviously pretty important to Josh Heupel's offensive system is being able to hit big passes down the field. So you need that arm strength, right? As long as he's got that arm strength, then okay, fine. But especially when you only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster right now, it's a concern. Yeah, right? The injury is certainly a concern.
Yes.
And so, and quick shout out to Dylan in the chat here. Dylan makes a good point. Honestly, Nico couldn't have been too much heavier than George.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's true. I mean, Nico is also very skinny. So that's a great point. And then Dylan, his main concern here, he says in the chat that he's, happy that George is getting a shot, but the optics of the situation are rough considering that we offered Levitt $4 million. So that's the optics are not great, right? And I think that seems to be, at least for me, kind of the primary thing that I've got question marks about, which is, okay, the coaching staff themselves weren't like 100% in on GMac, right? Like, hey, this is the guy who's going to win games for us. We got to go out here and try to throw a bag at Levitt or whoever, even if they're, D-bags, which Levitt, is looking like kind of a D-bag after his, his transfer recruitment.
Yeah.
And so, well, and let's be honest, he went to Lane Kiffin, right? I mean, that
says a lot. That says a lot.
That says everything you need to know, but I digress. Point being, that's my main concern is kind of what Dylan's getting at, which is the optics of the situation. Yep. And it's kind of bad. It looks bad for us PR wise, but also to me, does it speak to internal like the coaching staff being worried, right?
Oh,
Internal
there's
worry
pressure.
about GMac.
Oh, but I also think there's just pressure, man. I think they want a
Sure.
proven guy because they feel pressure heading into 2026, which they should. They should feel that pressure. But Blake, it's also the question of like, do you even need a proven quarterback in Heupel's system? The crazy thing is, all the guys
That's
with
a good
less
point.
upside have
Yes.
actually been the ones to play well. That's the weird thing. Like Hennon versus Joe Milton. Like if you just like looked at the tangibles, the arm strength, the athleticism, like you go Joe Milton. But obviously we all know Hennon Hooker was much more successful here. And then of course you look at Nico versus Joey Aguilar. Nico's the 5-star on paper. Aguilar's the unwanted fireman. Goes JUCO and then come like. But Aguilar was much better than Nico. So that's another discussion. And I get the optics look bad now, but at the end of the day, Blake, what matters? The on-field results. That's it. Like
Yes.
if
Absolutely.
McIntyre plays, and again, that's still a question because of Aguilar, but if McIntyre ends up being the starter and outplays Levitt next year, it won't matter. The optics will not matter whatsoever because it's
Right.
like, okay, maybe Levitt saved us from ourselves, but hey, hey, listen, that's happened in the past. That happened this past spring, Blake, when Nico decided he didn't want to be
Yes.
here anymore, and Heupel told him to kick rocks. I think we were saved from ourselves in that situation because I think the 2025 season would have went much worse than it did.
Yeah, you're making some fantastic points. We got some more fantastic points in the chat, though. Good old Rocky Top points out that Nico was a little bit heavier than GMac, but he still thinks GMac's going to be fine. I think that speaks to your point, Austin, that ultimately it's just a concern of injury, right? So if we can keep him healthy, and the O line is looking to be pretty solid this year, right? So hopefully that's not an issue. But then Bender Strings makes a good point, in terms of the reputation of lowballing QBs, right? Do we want that reputation in the kind of transfer portal world of, hey, if you're a QB, you're going to get a lowball offer from Tennessee? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that, if that's valid or not.
Yeah, and we might tie that into the Danny White discussion and see like how much of trying to follow these magical rules that might not even exist is actually impacting the offers. I also think Heupel likes to recruit quarterback out of high school, and so far it's gone pretty poorly. But we've only seen one guy. We've only seen one of his technically two. Merkler left as well. He got him out of high school, but he really never got a chance to play here, and he was never supposed to play here either, Blake. Like that's the reality.
Right.
He's just like a backup option or whatever. Now we get to see like if GMac ends up being the starter, and this is something obviously we're going to be covering throughout training, like spring training, and even all the way up until summer camp. Like we might not actually know until then. But we get to see another Josh Heupel handpicked high school recruit, and I'll reiterate again, like when Heupel decided to recruit him, he was one of the best quarterbacks in his class. That obviously changed, so it is going to be interesting. And you mentioned arm strength. I will say, Blake, on his high school tape, he looks like he has an absolute rocket of an arm. I saw a highlight the other day where he dropped probably a 50-yard pass, plus yard pass, maybe even 60-yard pass into a bucket, and it looked effortless. I mean, someone called it, Aguilar-esque this year, and I find that actually kind of funny because it's like when Aguilar throws 50 yards, Blake, he puts everything he's got into it, like literally everything. Like you can tell that's his max like throwing ability. When George McIntyre did it in high school, man, and it's a smaller ball and it's a high school competition, but it looks effortless, man. It just flies out of his hand. So I think the arm strength's there. Again, it will be the injury. And we're going to be touching on offensive line with other portal additions because we got a great offensive lineman. But you're right, dude. On paper, next year the offensive line should be really good, and it was this year, Blake. I mean, Aguilar was protected most of the year pretty well. So, I don't know, man. I mean, part of me is kind of excited because at the end of the day, dude, McIntyre's the box. right? He's the box. And what I mean by that is we don't know what's in the box. The box can be
Yeah.
like the best quarterback since Peyton Manning, or it can be another failed, 4 or 5 star recruit like Nico. But you just don't know. Like, and that's what's exciting. But I will say, last thing I'll say, Blake, before I kick back to you, McIntyre's situation is probably the best since Heupel's been here. What he's given on paper, as far as the receivers are concerned, the offensive line, the running back room, like it's probably the deepest, best offense we've had overall since Heupel's gotten here, outside of quarterback. So it is interesting to see what he can do with that.
Yeah, and you made a fantastic point at the beginning about, the guys, the kind of underdog guys thriving in Heupel's system. So Heupel has done more with less, certainly. No disrespect to the great Hendon Hooker, right? Hendon Hooker is, cemented himself as a Tennessee legend.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is he didn't have the kind of the stars that GMac had coming
Yep.
out of high school, and so the upside is certainly there. I want to give a few quick shout outs in the chat here, Austin. Yes, Todd mentioned, hey, the portal's closed, but kids can still commit. Yes, Todd, so we mentioned that earlier. We portal being closed, meaning like, hey, the portal window for people to enter the portal
Exactly.
is closed, and yes, we can still get a QBE, but at the end of the day, Austin, the people who are left
Yeah.
are
Slim
scraping the
pickings.
bottom of the slim pickings,
Slim pickings.
scraping the bottom of the barrel. So,
Jeez.
quick shout out to Sven. Sven is back with us. He's a Mississippi
Hey,
State fan.
nice.
I remember Sven. I remember you joining several months ago. So welcome back, Sven. He is talking about, hey, development of QBs, right? So he's talking
Yeah.
about Mississippi State situation and Shapen and the guy that was kind of sitting behind Shapen. And he's like, hey, it's on Heupel to develop the guys behind your starters. And I think that's a good point for GMac in terms of his development. He's had a year of development. But it also, Austin, kind of, and I don't want to get off too off the rails here, but it also speaks to Faison Brandon and the
Yeah.
future there, right? Letting Faison Brandon develop behind GMac. And so what do you think about that, Austin?
It's a good point. I mean, it's kind of what I was getting at earlier, Blake, which at this moment, Heupel has brought in 4 key quarterbacks from high school: Nico, Jake Merklinger, McIntyre, and now Faison Brandon. Blake, so far he's 0 for 2. Now, and I'll give him kind of a break on Merklinger. Like, again, he was never meant to be the guy. But that is like, it's kind of a fair criticism. We'll see, and we'll see what George McIntyre is like. Heupel can get the guys to commit. The question is, can he develop them into good players? And like, again, like, it's interesting, Blake, because Heupel's track record with the quarterbacks is good, but also bad. Like his view for talent seems a little off at times. Like, again, he picked Joe Milton over Hendon. That ended up being the wrong pick. He goes Hendon. Hendon kind of, really, I mean, what he did in 2022 is, maybe helping him out in 2025 or 2026 at this point. And then, of course, like Joe Milton ended up being a pretty good player. He ended up getting drafted, but never really developed. And he had multiple years in Heupel's system. He never really got like a lot better. And then, the Nico situation, which, we only got to see 1 year of Nico, so we didn't really get to see his development. But I will say, if his 2025 play had any indication of like what Heupel did with him, it was not going well. So,
No.
so it is a question, dude. I think it's a very fair question. And I think we do need to. I mean, we need to see. We need to see. And George McIntyre is, I think, the next guy. I know some fans are calling for Faison Brandon to play immediately. I would say that's probably a long shot unless he comes in and just immediately like looks the part. Like if he comes in and looks the part in camp, then maybe that changes. But yeah, it's going to be a question of like, hey, has George McIntyre actually developed under Heupel? And will we see the fruits of that in 2026?
Hoping so, for sure. Obviously, we think that we've got a decent amount of depth to at least compete to make the playoffs. Now, we'll see how that's going to. Obviously, there's a lot of question marks in terms of if we're going to be in the conversation. But I think that especially with the pickups in the portal, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, folks, we're going to get into the other portal news so far. And with that portal news, I think that we've got a decent amount of depth, Austin. So, but there are still some key question marks, obviously. Quick shout out to Backflip Spaghetti in the chat. He says, "Howdy, what happened with the Colorado QB visiting?" And Austin, before we talk about that, quick shout out to good old Rocky Top. He's talking about Joey and the fact that he struggled. Hey, I'm glad he's shouting out Joey with a tumor in his arm. Folks,
Yes.
that is absolutely nuts. As far as
Insane,
we
dude.
understand, it was throwing arm too, that he had a
Yep.
freaking tumor and he was
Played
playing
through
through
it.
the pain. Didn't even tell anybody. So yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Joey. And what a miracle that would be if Joey does come through and camp. What a comeback, Austin. What a
Oh, I
comeback.
know. I would love it.
Joey.
I would still happily take Aguilar as the starter next year. Give McIntyre and Faison another year of development. And at this point, like what we know, again, McIntyre is the box, so we don't know with McIntyre. What we know, Aguilar is by far the best available option at this current point in time. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that plays out. It's not looking good though, people. From everything we've read, it's not looking good.
Yeah, not looking good for Joey to be able to play again, which is unfortunate for sure. And quick shout out to Rebel Jew 777 says the portal is only closed for players entering. Yes, that's correct. So players can no longer enter the portal. The portal is closed. That is correct. The portal is closed. Players cannot enter the portal. And currently, Tennessee only has 2 scholarship QBs. Now, with that being said, that gets us to the point that Backflip Spaghetti brought up, which is the news, Austin, that we had the quarterback from Colorado visit recently. I believe that news broke yesterday. Talk us through that, Austin.
Yeah, Ryan Stubb, I think is his name, or I honestly don't know how to say his last name. Complete backup option. That would be because I mean a lot of fans are sitting here. There's like three groups of people right now. There's one group of people saying how could we possibly start George McIntyre? Like we needed an established quarterback and we didn't go get that. There's another group of people saying I'm fine with starting George McIntyre. What's the problem? We don't even need a quarterback out of the portal. And then there's the group in the middle saying, hey, I'm fine with starting GMac. However, you can't have two quarterbacks on the roster next year. That's not feasible. I
Right.
mean, you need at least 3, at the very least 3, just for depth and potential injury, especially when we have this conversation of, hey, McIntyre weighs 195 pounds. Like, that's a concern. And it should be a concern. So yeah, I think like I'll shout out a chat real quick. Chris White saying basically if you start McIntyre, then Faison Brandon will leave in the portal. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. Did Heupel promise him to start his true freshman year? I don't know, man. That would shock me. That would surprise me. The only problem with that, I think, is a year after that. Like if McIntyre plays well, right? If McIntyre plays well the whole season, and it's again, he's not draft eligible for at least 2 more seasons, McIntyre. So McIntyre has to stay here or stay in college for at least 2 more years. So then now you're asking Faison to sit 2 years. Now that might get a little dicey. That could get dicey. I will say though, this is how I view the quarterback position. If you hit on one, Blake, I don't care about like I want Faison Brandon to be great here, and ideally McIntyre's good for 2 years. Faison stays for 2 years and develops, and then Faison comes in and ends up playing great. But at the end of the day, I don't want to just appease Faison Brandon if George McIntyre is a good player. Like if George McIntyre is good enough to win us games,
Right.
he leads us to the playoffs, then we've hit on quarterback. Like we're good for at least 2 more years. So that's just kind of how I view the situation. Of course, ideally they both stay for the maximum amount of time. We get the maximum amount of value, but it doesn't always work like that, especially in today's college football.
Yeah, Rick in the chat, aka Baba, saying that essentially GMac is at the same point this year as he would have been had Nico stayed, right? So the idea now he says
Yeah.
Nico would have been going pro after this year. I don't know. Again, if Nico had stayed on the trajectory that he was on, who knows? But his Rick's ultimate point is, hey, GMac is kind of in the same kind of space that we expected him to be at this point in time, which is, he had a year of development, and now we're looking at potentially him starting as the kind of heir apparent after Nico. And that's assuming Jake Merklinger, that he surpassed Jake Merklinger, or Jake Merklinger transferred or whatever, which didn't end up happening. So that's a good point there from Rick. Okay, Baba. Kevin agrees that he doesn't think that Brandon, would Faison Brandon would leave immediately. Uh, Unfortunately, Austin, Chris making that point, it's a fair point to make given the environment of college football, right? The
Yeah.
environment of college football right now is such that, people are jumping ship left, right, and center. But I think the point that you and everyone else is making is that, hey, Faison Brandon kind of knew what he was getting into, right? And so hopefully that remains the case, that Faison Brandon is like, okay, I get it. I need to develop. I need to, sit a year or two before I get my shot to show what I can do. And it's looking like, Austin, that his shot might come sooner rather
Yeah,
than later
exactly.
because of where we're at.
Exactly. And if McIntyre's not good, his shot might be in, he might get a shot in September, October this year. Like it could,
Yeah.
it could be coming pretty early. But listen, and I don't know Faison. I'm just going based on how he's already interacted with the fans. Blake, he did a charity drive for Children's Hospital. Kind of means a lot to me. I spent a lot of time in Children's Hospital as a kid. Pretty cool of him to already be doing that, Blake. And he's,
Yep.
he's not even from here, but he's already getting into the community. And again, I don't know him, and I could end up getting egg on my face for saying this. He seems like the kind of kid that will choose long-term development over short-term gain. But again, you just don't know. In this environment of college football, you really just don't know. I do ultimately agree, though. I highly doubt Heupel told him he was guaranteed a starting spot his true freshman year. I would be very surprised by that. But again, it's like, is he cool with sitting for 2 years? Maybe. We'll see. But and I think I saw, I think Backflip Spaghetti or someone said, let's see how it plays out. I like that, because it's like, we do need to kind of let it play out, because, we're all saying GMac. And, it's definitely looking like, if I had to predict right now, it's going to be GMac. But then again, we might get good Joey news in 2 weeks. So you just really don't know, Blake. So yeah, we will have to see just how it all plays out.
Yeah, and obviously, as people have noted, we can still pick up a QB if they are currently in the portal. The thing is that we have missed on our targets in the portal thus far, and we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point. Now, there are still some folks that people have, shouted out. Dylan in the chat saying over Ryan Stobe from Colorado, he would rather have Dickens and then EJ Colson. Also making the point that, Dylan's saying that he maybe would rather try to give an opportunity to a D2 guy with upside rather than just a straight up backup from another D1 program. Maybe. I guess it depends on what the coaching staff sees in those available players compared to George McIntyre, right?
I really like the point, because again, when you're recruiting is like draft picks to me, Blake, and we might not have any NFL fans in the chat, and that's fine. There's some NFL playoffs going on later today, but it's really like drafting. Like, and if you go back and look at, I wish I had a great example off the top of my head, but our last recruiting class, we brought in several cornerbacks, Blake. Okay, this is just an example. We brought in several corners. Well, Ty Redmond ended up hitting immediately. Okay, he ended up hitting immediately as a 3-star. He was actually one of our lower rated corners and secondary players we brought in during his recruiting class. But he clearly came in and looked the part, and he earned his position. Well, if you bring in Dickens, which Dickens is an FCS guy, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of fans have been wanting him, or a Division II guy, that's even more of a long shot. But again, it's a shot at the dartboard, Blake. You're trying to hit on the most important position in football, and you just don't know. You don't know until you get him into camp, and it's just another shot, and that's why you really do need to bring in. I would like to take the upside of like a Dickens over a guy like Ryan Stubb, who is like, kind of we've already seen him play and it's not been good, and so he's really just a backup.
Yeah.
I kind of like taking the shot on the upside, but it's a great point, man. It's you have to keep taking shots at it, and that's why Heupel, like even years that like in 2023 when we bring in Nico as a 5-star Blake, the following season he brings in Merklinger as a 4-star. Because again, you're just taking swings, man. You're just taking swings. Eventually you're gonna hit on a guy, but you're taking swings at it. And as much as like we're all convinced like Faison's gonna be good or GMac's gonna be good, you don't know. I mean, we just learned this
Right.
lesson. We
No.
literally just learned this lesson, people. And I think Faison's a better player than Nico. That's me saying that as a fan. Like I want that to happen, but again,
Yeah.
you really just don't know until they get on the field. So we need to take shots at quarterback, man.
Absolutely, we do. And, a lot of people are kind of going back and forth on this. The Rebel Jew saying he's going back and forth on GMac, bringing up the same point that Sven brought up about our schedule. Obviously, our schedule is going to be super tough this year. And we're going to 9 conference games this year. So, man, Rebel Jew saying, hey, we need a veteran QB. That's not a bad point at all. But others saying, hey, let's just let it ride with GMac. Backflip Spaghetti saying that. Ben Sherman in the chat. Welcome, Ben. Saying, let's ride with GMac and Faison and get the third one as a backup. Hey, honestly, Austin, at this point, we need to prepare ourselves. It's looking like that's going to be the case.
Yes.
From what we can see, it looks like, again, like you said, we might end up being wrong, but from what we can see, it appears that we're just going to have to pick up someone from the bottom of the barrel in the folks who are left in the portal right now, and then ride with GMac. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, because as we've noted, I mean, we can't tamper with another quarterback out of the portal. And our next topic, we'll talk about why that's probably never going to happen anyways with our current athletic director. So it's that's not going to happen. Like what Miami did, we're not looking to do. And we can't do it anymore because the portal's closed unless like a coach gets fired. Like players can leave after the coach gets fired, but that doesn't typically happen in spring football. You don't really fire coaches then.
Yes.
So we're looking for a backup option here. Wherever we end up getting that backup option, that's what we're looking for. I do think, and I could be wrong about this, I don't know how this situation is going to play out, but if we somehow do get good news about Joey, I would be kind of surprised if they just say no to that, like completely.
Yeah.
That would be a little surprising to me. Unless another team swoops in like we've seen all off season and say, hey, Joey Aguilar, you looked good last year. Here's $5 million to come be our quarterback. Then I could see a reason to say no to that. Just because it's insane. The numbers we're seeing are insane, dude. It's absolutely nuts. So yeah, but we'll see how it all plays out, man.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to see how it plays out. We'll hope for good news from Joey. That's still possible, but not likely. But yeah, as Austin mentioned, so again, to clarify for folks, the portal is closed, meaning no one can enter the portal at this point unless they are a player on a college football playoff team. There's going to be another portal for teams in the playoff. And then, as Austin mentioned, if a coach were to get fired, that's not likely at this point. And so essentially what we're looking at is, whoever's in the portal right now, we can't tamper like Miami did. Again, a little teaser for our next topic. So we're about to talk about that, but we can't tamper with anyone. So it's looking like we're going to have to find a backup, and then ride with GMac. So we'll see on that. But folks, look, real quick, I want to shout out Faithful Soldier. Faithful Soldier said earlier that he was going to subscribe and that he hopes that we don't clickbait like the chat sports guys. So look, folks, we are an unscripted, non-corporate show. Okay. We are not sponsored by any kind of bigger media company like a lot of these shows are or anything like that. We're just two brothers who love the Tennessee Vols and love yapping, as you guys can see. And so please, if you would support us, we would really appreciate it. We are 9 subscribers away, Austin, unless I need to refresh and we're even closer. We are
I believe we're
9 subscribers away.
I saw 8 subscribers away. So
8 subscribers away from 1,000. So please, if you're just joining us, if you love volunteer sports, please hit that subscribe button. It would totally mean a ton to us, especially if we can hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube today, that would be incredible. And also, Austin, quick shout out to our our Spotify listeners, Spotify as well. Give us a follow on Spotify. Spotify has been growing as well. So I'm going to catch up on the chat, Austin. People are going crazy. This is, obviously a really hot topic.
Big
And
topic.
so, folks, continue to put your thoughts in the chat. We welcome all chatters. We welcome all thoughts and opinions and ideas. Please drop them in there. But quick shout out to Lynn. I see Lynn, an OG supporter of the show. Welcome, Lynn. Glad to have you here, buddy. Lynn, I hope you can be here and see us cross that line to 1,000 subscribers. That would mean a lot to us, especially to have our OG listeners like you in there for that moment. So, but yeah, folks, continue the conversation on the QB situation. But Austin, we have a related topic to the QB situation. So you alluded to this tampering situation with Miami and the Duke quarterback, and the absolute insanity that surrounds that situation. And then what our athletic director, Danny White, had to say about that. Talk us through this.
Danny White had a quote after, I believe this is right after the news hit that Duke's quarterback was going to hit the portal and that Miami had tampered with him. I mean, it wasn't even a question. When this guy hit the portal, Blake, it wasn't like people knew immediately it was Miami. It was very weird. It wasn't like any waiting period. It was like, this is Miami. This is for sure Miami doing this. And we'll get into his contract details in a minute. But Danny White said after that situation, if NIL rules exist, they need to be followed with penalties for violators. I have a couple questions about that because it's kind of interesting to me. In his quote, he says, if NIL rules exist. So my question to Danny, do they exist? Do the actual rules exist? Are they actually on paper? And if they're not, then why are we following imaginary rules? It cracks me up when I'm on Twitter, Blake, and I'm looking at an On3 post for a commitment, and people are like, tampering. What do you mean? Everyone's tampering. Like, tampering is just the new standard of college football. It's like there's no penalties for tampering. Why are we even bringing it up? And listen, this is not me saying there shouldn't be. There definitely should be. There should be penalties for tampering.
Right.
But when we have our athletic director saying, we're not going to tamper, we're going to play by the rules. Okay, why? No one else is, and no one else is going to get in trouble for it. So why are we the ones hurting ourselves, right? We're hurting ourselves, Blake, by not saying we're going to play by these imaginary rules that apparently Danny White doesn't even know if they exist or not, because he says, if the rules exist, well, they don't currently. So why are we holding ourselves back? That's my question to Danny White. Why would we hold ourselves back? And I think, man, I mean, if you look at how the portal played out, which we end up having a pretty good portal class, like it's solid. But if you look at the QB situation, man, we could end up saying it's like, man, we could have went out and got an established veteran, but Danny White wanted to play by the imaginary rules.
Yeah, I mean, look, and who knows if that's true or not. Now, I'll say this. We've got confirmed, information that Lane Kiffin was tampering left, right, and center and twice on Sunday. Okay.
But nobody cares,
Lane Kiffin
apparently.
was coming here on a private jet trying to intercept Sam Levitt and all of this craziness. Okay. So screw that guy. Screw Lane Kiffin and his bogus crap. Okay. But to your point, Austin, should there be rules? Yes. Are there right now? No. And so are we hurting ourselves if we're, trying to pretend to play by these imaginary rules? And who knows? Now, real quick, I want to talk more about the actual situation with Miami, because this is crazy to me, Austin. And look, I'm going to sound like I'm going to sound like an old head right now. Okay. And that's okay.
I think most people agree with you.
When it comes to football, I am an old head. Okay. But you've got Miami who stole this guy from Duke, and we got people in the chat here, Ben and others, saying they feel sorry for Duke, although they did the same thing to Tulane, Ben says. You've got Miami who has stolen this quarterback from Duke. And Austin, fill in the gaps here for me, but $7 million. Did I get that right? $7 million.
Somewhere in that range, yes.
Incentives, including forcing them to give a scholarship to his sister, to come play a sport of some sort at Miami, right?
That is
Am I correct
correct.
so far?
That is correct.
Luxury housing. Am I
Bingo.
correct so far?
Bingo.
And what else? Like pickle
And
sandwiches every day? Like what like
and and another big part of the deal was an Adidas campaign, which I'm
Adidas
assuming
campaign?
is more
More
money
money.
on top
More
of the
money.
guaranteed money that's already being offered.
More money. And so I bring all this up to say, to first and foremost sound like a curmudgeon, okay, because I am when it comes to this. That is absolutely nuts,
Nuts,
okay,
dude.
in college football. It's just absolutely bonkers that we've got these college football players, making more than a lot of NFL guys do. There's no rules, and
Yeah.
Miami's got all this. Look, I'm not going to speculate about where Miami gets their money, but let's just be honest, right? Miami's not got the greatest reputation for ethics, right?
No, they
Okay.
do not.
So Miami is, throwing all this craziness around. And then you've got Danny White, as you mentioned, Austin, who's saying, and look, justifiably, he probably looks at that and thinks it's bogus as well. But it's like, dang, Danny, I get it if the money is not there for us, but we got to find a way to make it there or something, Austin.
And I don't even think it's the money, man. I really don't think it's about the money right now. I really don't. I think Danny White sees those things, and you can tell Danny White's the kind of kid in third grade that reminded the teacher about the spelling test. He is. That's who Danny White is. That's the kind of person he is. He was a tattletale in grade school. That's Danny White. And you have Danny White now saying, "Oh, I don't want to give the kind of contract Miami's given." It's like, well, at some point, it's adapt or die. I mean, we're seeing this at Clemson
Exactly.
with Dabo. Like Dabo
Yes.
refused to hit the portal for 3 years, and it killed his roster. It killed his roster. And I respect Dabo for having integrity and wanting to do it a certain way. But at some point, you have to adapt to current college football. What happened with Nick Saban, Blake? He said, I don't like the current version of college football, so I'm taking my ball and
He
I'm
got out.
going home. That's what Nick Saban
Yeah.
did. And again, like we're all in agreement. That's the frustrating thing here. Like maybe outside the players, some of the players that are benefiting from this, I'd say the top 1% to 2% of players who are actually benefiting from all of this. Outside of that, pretty much everyone's in agreement. Like it's a complete crap show right now. This is not sustainable. It's completely not sustainable. And the chat's going fast here. It's a hot topic, but I saw somewhere a couple chats ago talking about a CBA and how essentially we need actual legitimate contracts that are over a year long to actually sustain this sport. Could not agree more. I wish you all were here for last
Yeah.
offseason discussions because I've been saying for years now, like at least 2 years now, I've been saying on the show and off the show that I think college football, as much as we don't want this, okay, I don't want this. I don't want this to be a minor league completely to the NFL. I don't want that. I think
Right.
college football is so much more than that. But I think if we're going to save the sport, man, like if we're going to save the sport, we have to have a structure somewhat similar to the NFL. We have to, because at this point, it's like people are saying it's paid mercenaries, and you're basically it's sink or swim. Like it's all or not. Like Miami's saying we don't care about the unwritten rules, we don't care about the written rules if there are any. We're gonna go out. We're going to maximize the offer. Like when you say they're making more than NFL players, you are not wrong. I mean, they're making more than pretty much dang near every backup quarterback in the NFL. And if you're not drafted in the top 15, then you might as well go back to college if you're good enough to play
Yeah.
in college. It's more money. Dude,
Yes.
Shadur Sanders, okay, dropped to the 5th round of the NFL draft last season. Okay, his entire rookie contract is $4 to $5 million, Blake. $4 to $5 million. Yet this Duke quarterback, who is a good player, he will never play. He will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'll put my name behind that. Y'all can come back to this video if I'm wrong. He will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Just made more than Shadur Sanders will make on his 3 to 4 year rookie contract. I think it's 4 years. It might be 3 for 5th round picks. So 3-year rookie contract. he makes more in a single season. Plus, by the way, you have to take my sister. You have to give her a
Yeah.
full ride, give her NIL deals, luxury
I
house.
just
Like, since when can we give? Dude, Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken away, and it was only reinstated, what, a year or two ago? Because his mom, Reggie Bush grew up in the streets, bro. Like, he didn't have any money. USC bought his mom a house. That's all they did. Now we're openly, reportedly giving $7 million for a season and luxury housing on top of paying for my sister's NIL. Like, what are we doing? How did we go from the Reggie Bush situation, which was not, that was within our lifetimes, Blake, to this? Now it's just it's absurd to me, man.
it absolutely is. And look, I am as red-blooded American as anyone else. I hate rules and regulations. I hate laws unnecessary. But when it comes to something like this, and it's the Wild West. It's absolutely the Wild West. And you've got situations like that where you go from one extreme to the other because you kind of open the floodgates and then boom, you just let it you let it happen.
Yep.
And
Exactly what
so
happened.
it's just it's nuts. Like you said, Austin, the chat is going crazy over here. Shout out to Sven who made the point about the CBA, all that stuff with that. Couldn't agree more. Dylan, makes a great point. Leave it to Tennessee to have an AD that won't break the rules when it's literally the Wild West.
I
If
know,
Fulmer
man.
was still here, he'd be cheating like there's no tomorrow.
Hey,
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, but I tell you this. I tell you, Philip Fulmer will be doing whatever he can to do to win.
yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
there's no doubt about that.
I'll tell you that much. Shout out to Chris White. He says Danny White is basically saying, "Yeah, we know LSU is spending 40 plus million, but we're going to follow the rules that don't exist and hurt our football program. But hey, entertainment district, I guess." Yeah, Danny White's, I think, first and foremost a businessman and is looking to make money as opposed to win. I hope he understands that winning is paramount to making money
Yeah.
and when it comes to sports. So we'll see about that. But then Dylan made a funny joke. Oh, I wish I could lost it. Here it is. Danny White stole a mechanical pencil in grade school, and it haunts him to this day.
Awesome to this day, man.
Apparently, folks, again, please jump in the chat. Let us know what you think. We can't keep up with everything, but we're going to do our best to keep up with everything as best we can. Thank you all so much for the support. Austin, we are officially 4 subscribers away from we are 4 subscribers away from hitting that milestone of 1,000 subscribers. So please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to Vol Talk. It costs you nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing. And so please hit that sub button. We would really appreciate it. We've got Pitch Doctor in the chat here. I think this is the first time I've seen you in the chat. So welcome, Pitch Doctor. And then we've got John Harden in the chat. Welcome, John Harden. And then several other folks continuing the conversation here. But yeah, Austin, it's, at the end of the day, it's like, man, Danny White, look, and look, I'm all for being ethical. Okay. Absolutely. 100%. Because I'm a traditional guy, right? Especially when it comes to college football. I want college football to return to what it used to be about: tradition, prestige, the pride, right? It was that's what it was about, right? It wasn't about, now it's about money.
Yeah.
Bottom line, unfortunately. But I still have pride in being Tennessee Volunteer, Austin. So I want to win. Do I want to be unethical? No. But if there's no rules right now, Austin, then Danny White, freaking do whatever you got to do to win. Period.
I got a couple of points to make. One is Danny's completely lost the fan base with the entertainment district and everything. Like, he started responding to people. That's like the new thing on Twitter, Blake. When we lost to Kentucky basketball yesterday, which we'll reluctantly touch on for about 60 seconds later in the show. But when we blew that lead, people immediately started tweeting Danny White about the entertainment district. They're like, at least we're getting that entertainment district. Like, but then he started responding to people about that. And this was a week or so ago. But dude, it was a terrible look. It was such a terrible look because it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, the entertainment district, whatever. Like it's whatever. Nobody really cares about it. Longtime fans really do not care about it one bit. But when you're sitting there responding to people on Twitter, man, it looks weak. It looks super weak,
Yeah.
especially when the portal is open right now, especially when other teams are going out and making moves and improving their roster. And I know Danny's not like targeting guys in the portal, but he has a big part in it as far as the contracts are concerned and things like that. And again, I mean, he kind of showed his hand when he's saying, "Hey, if there's rules, we need to follow them." So he's I'm sure he's micromanaging Heupel and all the coaches' moves and with all that, and making sure they're doing things by the books, whatever the books say. And that's the problem. Like, if you want to put blame on someone, you can say, "Well, it's the NCAA's fault," and it's like the lack of leadership in the sport's fault. But at the end of the day, again, that's all well known. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows that's the case. And everyone agrees, well, we should fix it, but nobody actually knows how to implement a fix. So while
Right.
that's the case, again, it's adapt or die. At the end of the day, I think everyone in the chat can agree. We just want the Vols to win football games. We do. And I'm with you. Like, I want to I want to be ethical and whatever. But at the end of the day, man, like, is it even being unethical right now? Because this is the
Right.
state of the sport. Now, again, there's a great argument to be made, and which is something we'll probably talk about a lot during the offseason, but there's a great argument to be made that the sport is unsustainable in this current state. It just is. It's
Yes.
completely unsustainable. I've used this analogy a lot, Blake. I have no idea as a fan why you'd buy a jersey anymore. Why would you buy a jersey?
Sure.
There's no point in buying a jersey because that guy, unless he's a senior and he has no eligibility, even then, who knows when a judge is just going to sign off randomly and say, here's your 7th year of college football. And then he hits the portal and then he goes somewhere else. Like, why would you even invest in a jersey or invest in a player when they can pop up and leave at any moment? And listen, again, you're totally on point. It's for sure all about the money right now. It's all about the money for the playoff committee. It's all about the money for the SEC commissioners and the conference commissioners. And it's all about the money for the players at the moment. My problem is you will lose fans. Eventually, you will lose fans and money because why would you listen? When I was a kid, Blake, the first player I grew up loving was Eric Berry. That was the first great player I grew up watching
Right.
as a Tennessee fan. Well, imagine if I'm 10 years old, right? And I'm watching the Volunteers and I see Eric Berry his true freshman year, but then it seemed like Miami or Ohio State or, Oregon or whoever comes in and offers Eric Berry $5 million the following season and he leaves to go play for another school. Well, all of a sudden, my favorite player just left. That might have completely changed the course of my life. I might not be here on Vol Talk begging for our 1,000 subscriber because I might not be as passionate about the Tennessee Volunteers because my favorite player who I just fell in love with ends up leaving the next season because of the current state of college football. That's why I think there needs to be at least 2 or 3 year contracts. That would be one of the main fixes I would implement as far as this NIL and stuff is concerned.
Yeah, 1,000%. Couldn't agree more. I could go on all day, Austin, about this NIL situation and how it's changed college football and kind of what we're looking at. But alas, Austin, we do have other topics for the good folks to chat with us about. So we're going to get to some other topics here in a few, folks. Please continue the conversation. I'm going to shout out a few chats here. So Bender Strings and Dylan both made some good points about ethics, right? So Bender says, hey, we shouldn't tear up the coloring book, but we should color outside the lines because everyone else is coloring outside the lines right now. And then Dylan says ethics only works when it's the mass consensus. When it's one person team trying to be greater than now, they always get left behind. And Dylan, you're absolutely right about that. Like we said, you're seeing that with Clemson to a degree, right? Where Dabo doesn't like the new college football and he's getting left behind. And it sucks because he's a great coach. And I agree with him. That's the thing, is I agree with him, but the practical outcome is that you're getting left behind, period. And Nick Saban was smart. Nick Saban, the greatest of all time, he got out while the getting was good.
I'm getting out, dude.
He got out while the getting was good. Really quick, Austin, just real quick, want to shout out this chat from Rebel Jew 777. We're not going to talk about this right now, Rebel. Okay. And it's an interesting question. I don't even want to entertain it. He says, "Hey, look, if Heupel were to be gone,
Oh, geez.
who would you want to replace him?"
Oh,
I want
geez.
Signetti in that case, but he won't leave Indiana. And then Bender thinks that he would, if Signetti did leave Indiana, it wouldn't be for us. It'd be for a different, he could pick wherever he wanted to go. And that's true. Austin, you and I, we are going to be doing a video soon this offseason, responding to a controversial video of ours, specifically responding to comments in a controversial video that wasn't even really about Signetti at all. It wasn't even, and it was barely about Heupel. It was, it was primarily about the media and how they see Tennessee.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of people who
interesting comments about Signetti.
Interesting comments who
Yeah.
thought Kurt Signetti was not all that in a box of chocolate.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden, with the 70-second composite talent rating, Austin, he's playing for the national championship in commanding fashion. By the way, has walloped every team. So, yes, Signetti. I would love to have Signetti in a heartbeat, but again, that's a conversation for another day.
It is, and that's not going to happen. I will say I am glad y'all brought up Signetti, because in this world of NIL and hired paid mercenaries, man, Kurt Signetti in Indiana, it's fascinating, Blake, because it really and they hit the portal. It's not like they don't hit the portal, but they're getting a different type of guy in the portal, right? They're not really getting the paid mercenary type. They're getting the type that want to be coached and like want to play for the coach, and they're going there for like a bigger reason than just the NIL check. And dude, like, I don't know, man. It's just how much. I mean, that clearly worked to a great degree this year, right? Like he did what everyone else wasn't doing. Like everyone else doing the paid mercenaries, or they're going to high school recruiting and getting the 4 and 5 stars. Signetti said, "Nope, I'm going to go for the experienced 23 and 24-year-olds who have been in college football forever, who want to come here to be coached by me, be coached hard," right? How many kids, listen, if you pay a kid $7 million, give him luxury housing, pay for his sister's NIL, kid's not going to be coached, man. A kid's not going to be coached. He makes as much as Mario Cristobal does in a season, or dang near it. Like, come on, man. That kid's not going to want to be coached. Like, that kid is done with being coached, man. He's telling the coaches what to do.
Exactly. He thinks he's made it. He thinks, oh, I'm the prize.
And he did. I mean, by the way, he did make it. But it's not. But the point is that will that result in winning? I mean, maybe. I mean, it worked with Carson Beck in Miami. It's possible. I mean, I guess we'll see on Monday. I guess we'll see on Monday. See what happens with that game. But at the end of the day, man, I think, man, Kirk Signetti just, I don't know, man. I think his strategy was fascinating to me, because everyone else is doing one thing, he did the other, and again, as Blake said, commanding fat. It wasn't even like, oh man, they're fighting for the Big Ten champ. They beat the reigning national champions in the Big Ten championship, and then walloped their next two opponents in Alabama and Oregon to make it to the Natty. And if I had to put money on the Natty, which I'm not going to, but if I had to, I'd be betting on Signetti in Indiana. So
yeah, it's looking highly likely. Yeah. So again, folks, we're going to drop that video at some point this off season. It's going to be a fun video. Okay. Yeah. We got to do it because there was some funny comments in that, but we're not trying to get off the rails here. It was an interesting question from Rebel, and it's an interesting question in general. We don't want to replace Heupel, right? We want to see Heupel succeed, but to bring it back full circle, Austin, what we were talking about, in order for Heupel to succeed, he's going to need his athletic director to open up the playbook, so to speak, right? And figure out a way to
open up the checkbook,
players and open. That's what I mean. Open up the checkbook. Yeah. Open up the playbook, as in, like, obviously Miami's open up the playbook because they're freaking, bringing dudes' sisters along, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
jeez, man.
I don't know about that, but the point stands. But folks, this is a really interesting conversation. We got Sven in the chat and others, kind of offering some ideas in terms of, how to make it better. And I agree with most of them. And obviously, there needs to be something that happens. So continue the conversation in the chat, folks. We would love to hear thoughts. Austin, we're still going to be going on this NIL and transfer portal
Yeah.
kind of line of thinking, because now we're going to transfer or change the topic. Speaking of transfers, we're going to transfer the
Yeah.
topic to Arion Carter, because this was
Mm-hmm.
an interesting situation, Austin. And this, again, we're going to continue to sound kind of like curmudgeons, but I think it's warranted. I think it's justified, because Austin, Arion Carter had declared for the NFL draft,
Correct.
and then now suddenly has reversed that decision. I guess he saw that he was going to go undrafted,
Mm-hmm.
and he is back looking for a school and technically hit the transfer portal. Now, Austin, the latest news is that it looks like we could potentially be
In the
finding a
running.
way for him to make his way back to Tennessee. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are big on Aaron Carter. Loved, he had a ton of tackles last season. But Austin, man, this is another weird NIL portal era situation. Talk us through it.
Yes, and I'm sure this has happened elsewhere. It probably didn't make a big news, and I believe this happens in the NBA draft as well. Of course, you have the kid that actually got drafted and went back to play college basketball, which is absolutely ridiculous. We talked about that in a past
Crazy.
video, but yeah, Carter declared for the draft. I was a little confused when that news hit. I know we had some fans thinking he was going to be drafted quite high. I was pretty bullish on the idea that he was not going to be drafted high. There's a NFL consensus board had him at around 600 or so. Now listen, that would have changed. Like 600 is not really indicative of where he would have went. By the way, the NFL draft has about 257 picks, so being 600 is like consensus. You're definitely not going to be picked. However, that probably would have changed with more data. Like it grabs a lot of data from like mock drafts and whatnot. Point being is that Carter he wasn't going to make more money than he was going to in college. I can tell you that for
Yeah.
sure. He was probably, if he was going to be drafted, it was going to be a late round draft pick. And I just got done discussing how late round draft picks make pennies compared to what some transfer quarterbacks are making. Now, linebackers aren't demanding the same prices. However, I think what likely happened for this situation to take place is that he didn't get the full understanding of what his draft stock was, which was number one. He probably got a better understanding that, okay, you're not going to be drafted very high. But then you also have the unwritten rules that Danny White likes to talk about. People are tampering with Arion Carter. That probably happened before he even declared for the NFL draft.
Sure.
People are saying, hey, come play here. We'll give you X, Y, and Z. And it was weird. It was weird how it went down, right? Because like when he declared, it seemed genuine. He was like, "Oh, I love Tennessee." Like he always seemed like a kind of guy that liked Tennessee. He like, as someone mentioned earlier in the chat, I think it might have been Dylan, someone else maybe, said he was like the leader of the defense. I have some mixed feelings on Carter. I think he was leader of the defense. I think he was like electric in that way, but at the same time, I think he wasn't as good as a player as some people rated him as. I don't think he's like we all agree linebacker play wasn't good last year, Blake, yet somehow Arion Carter has avoided criticism from that linebacker play, even though he was one of the main linebackers from last year. However, with that being said, I still would love Arion Carter on the team next year. I mean, he's going to be a senior. He's been good. Like he hasn't been bad. I'm not saying he's been bad. He just hasn't been these above average, really good linebacker that some of our fans have made him out to be. The only interesting thing about that is now, Blake, we have Campbell from the portal and we have T-Lander on the roster who was definitely slated to start. And plus we have all these young guys. Like we have all these young guys that people are excited about. Spillman, Perlotti, like we have all these dudes who are on the roster and people are excited about. Yeah, Arion Carter, like we're trying to find wiggling some room for him to come here, which, listen, we might go from like one of the worst linebacking cores to one of the better ones this year with the experience and the youth and the combination of the two. However, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, where he ends up going. And I mean, if we can find room on the roster, and what does that mean for T-Lander? What does that mean for the young guys? Like they can't hit the portal now. So that's another thing. That's another interesting part of this.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we want the depth, but when you already brought on people or you have young guys who are hoping to start, yeah, it creates a kind of a tough situation. So we'll see what happens with Aaron Carter. Like you said, I would love to have him back. Are we going to be devastated without him? I don't think so.
Mhm.
But would it help? I do think it would probably help to some extent. Um, Real quick, Austin, I just want to shout out Dylan just put in the chat that VolQuest just put out some news that Joey Aguilar's court hearing will be
Interesting.
February 10th.
Mm.
So February 10th, folks, we'll be looking to get an update on Joey's situation. As Dylan noted, we probably know how it's going to go, right? So we're going to keep our expectations low, but we will still definitely hope for a miracle when it comes to Joey Aguilar, because we would love, obviously, to have Joey Aguilar back. That's what we started the top of the show with, folks. If you're just joining us, we started with the QB conversation, and so you can rewind and rewatch that if you missed that. But also, Austin, again, we got more people coming into the live show here, folks. We are 3 subscribers away from 1,000.
Boom.
Just three. There's got
Boom.
to be 3 people. There's got to be 3 people
Unsubscribed.
in the live show. Please hit that sub button. We would love to hit 1K today. It would really mean so much to us. But Austin, with this Aaron Carter situation, it's just yet again casualties
I
of
know.
an unregulated
I know.
NIL situation, right? Where NIL is just NIL and transfer portal, right? It's the combination of
Yeah.
both, and it's just whatever happens, and now we're in this situation, um, you know, and it stinks because
Yep.
again, I would like to keep Aaron Carter, but it's also kind of a weird. I don't know. It's just a weird look
It
to
is.
me.
It's weird, man. It's really weird. Someone put out a great tweet. I really could have taken credit for myself if I wanted to, but I mean, I kind of like had this similar thought, but I will say I did see it on Twitter before I said it out loud. But someone basically said it's like, man, what happened to the dream being to play in the NFL? Like, what happened to
Hmm.
that? That's completely dead, dude. I mean, that's completely dead. Which is just weird, man. Like, on one hand, you get really good college football players who stay longer in college football, but on the other hand, it's like the Wild West in NIL, so you can't even enjoy those on your specific team. So does that even really matter for the product? There's no continuity. There's no full development of a guy under one system. And the NFL, like the draft classes are less and less deep because you have more and more players going and staying in college football. It's a very weird situation. And again, I don't know what Carter heard behind the scenes. I don't know if he got a 7th round grade. If you got a 7th round grade, of course you're going to come back for $1 million of an NIL. Like it's a much safer bet. It's one more year of development, and you can always declare for the draft at a later date. But again, it begs the question. Typically, guys get this is what makes the Carter situation so weird. Typically, guys get this grade sooner, Blake. They get this grade sooner. And if you remember, we covered the Ty Simpson situation, how we were potentially in the running for Ty Simpson. Well, Ty Simpson waited for him to get his NFL draft grade before he declared or didn't declare. And I don't know if Carter just decided not to do that. Like, you just decided no reason to get your draft grade before actually declaring for the draft. That really
Right.
made no sense to me whatsoever. I am kind of glad to hear that we're in the running, just because, man, we've had, again, the PR won't matter come 2026, and when we actually see the product on the field, that's what's going to matter. Like, we'll forget this. I mean, people forget the Nico. People forget so many aspects of the Nico situation now. Like, I have to remind them. I have to remind them that they
Yeah.
try to say after the fact that he left because of the situation around him, and then you saw 3 of our receivers go over 700 yards for like the first time ever in our school's history. It's whatever. Like, you have to remind people of these things, Blake, because they forget. So a lot of these things will just like poof, they'll be gone at the end. But with all that being said, it, like, if Carter leaves, it's like the bad PR is stacking up. Like, we got embarrassed because of the Sam Levitt thing. Which, I listen, let me just be clear for all the weirdo LSU fans. I'm not embarrassed by that situation because I don't think Sam Levitt's a very good player. I don't. I also think he's kind of a crappy person. So we'll see how that plays out. But at the end of the day, it is like, you lose your leader on defense, your linebacker to the NFL, but then he says, no, never mind. I just want to go transfer to someone like Georgia. Like that would look kind of bad, Blake, if that ends up happening.
Yes, it would look very bad. And so, yeah, the crazy thing is that with all of this, Arion Carter with all of it, it's just a long for the good old days, brother. The freaking days of
Yeah.
Al Wilson, especially with linebackers,
Yes.
man, just people who just
Yes.
loved ball, brother, just love to get
I
out
know,
there
man.
and play football.
And loved
You
Tennessee, dude.
mentioned love Tennessee, and it's like, you mentioned the dream of playing in the NFL, but also
Yeah.
a lot of dudes had the dream of playing at Tennessee, right?
Yes.
And it's just, all of that's changed. So call me a curmudgeon if you want.
Old school.
Guilty as charged, old head when it comes to this stuff. But hopefully Arion Carter can rejoin the team. But Dylan mentioned in the chat earlier that Amari Campbell is a dude, right? He's this is Amari Campbell's going to be a great player. And so, so we're going to be okay, even if we don't get Arion Carter back, but we would prefer to get Arion Carter back. Austin, I would be remiss if I didn't thank everyone in the chat here supporting us. We got Lynn in the chat talking about today is the day. You guys deserve it. You put on a great show every time. Lynn, we can't thank you enough for your support. We got a lot of people, Austin, in here now who have been supporters of the show for a long time. But Lynn especially is one of the OGs, so we really appreciate you, Lynn. John says that he didn't realize he was unsubscribed for some reason, and he hit the subscribe button again. Thank you, John Harden. We appreciate you. Everyone check and make sure. And we are one away, Austin. We are at 999. We are one away from 1,000, that big milestone. And then we got Robert Duncan in the chat saying, hit like and subscribe. Really appreciate you, Robert, as well. Yes, folks, 999. And Austin, I'll be honest, I didn't think, I never would have guessed if I was taking bets on the future that we would be talking about Arion Carter when we hit 1,000 subscribers. But
I probably would have guessed Nico based on the trajectory of the channel. Like,
I know, dude. I know. I'll be glad to no longer talk about Nico ever again. I'll tell you that much.
The same here.
But so, and we're just real quick to round out the Arion Carter conversation, Austin, and then we'll talk about some of the good news that has happened in the portal recently. Some of the pickups that we've got. But real quick, just to close out the Arion Carter conversation, Dylan says that Austin Price put out that it was between Miami and A&M for Arion. So I definitely feel like there were some backdoor conversations taking place for a while.
When you hear the schools Miami and A&M, you can basically guarantee that there was tampering going on. And again, I don't even get mad about tampering. The only thing that upsets me with the tampering is, okay, one, I wish there was rules against it and actual punishments in place. But for two, I get upset that we're not doing it like that. I'm getting upset that we're not doing it at this point because everyone's tampering with our own players. So when you're playing by the rules, again, like Blake said earlier, you're getting kind of left behind here. But yeah, Miami and A&M, those are two of the most well-known tamperers in today's college football, Blake.
When you have oil money and when you have wherever the money in Miami comes from, which I'm not going to get into that conversation.
I mean,
that's what happens, right, brother?
Yeah, who knows where Miami's getting the money from? I think maybe a little bit more dirty money than oil money. Who knows, like where they're getting that from?
Who knows? And given recent events, maybe some of that money will stop flowing soon. Who knows? But folks, listen, Austin. We're going to transition to good portal news.
I like it.
Okay. But before we do that, huge. We have officially hit 1K subscribers.
It's pretty cool,
We're
man.
at 1K subscribers, folks. Look, Austin and I, we cannot thank you all enough. I'm not gonna yap about this too long. We got 63 viewers. They're here to talk about
The
Tennessee's
Vols.
quarterback and Tennessee's portal, yeah, and the Vols, and that's what we're all here to talk about. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Austin and I, again, like I said earlier, this show is not sponsored by, some kind of bigger media company. We're not sponsored by even a small media company. We're not sponsored by, we're not, put on. We don't have resources behind us. It's literally just me and Austin. We've been learning how to do thumbnails. We've been learning how to do YouTube and
Mhm.
Spotify and titles and all of this. We've been learning straight on our own, upgrading our equipment, the whole nine. I mean, I'm across the world right now, for God's sakes, Austin, right? Like
We're
we
making it
got our own
happen,
job.
brother.
We're making it happen.
Oh,
And so, folks, look, we can't thank you guys enough for the support that you have given the channel. And we have had conversations, folks, about the future of Vol Talk as well, and what we want to bring you guys. We want to bring you guys more. We want to continue to improve. And so
big
we
news
will
down the
be
pipeline, Blake.
yes, we got we got a maybe an in-person studio in the works again. Austin,
Let's
it's still
go.
in infancy stages. I
Yep.
got to get back in the United States first. That's
Mhm.
job number one to make that happen. But we're looking at kind of upgraded in person live shows again. We're looking at more upgrades for you guys, possible watch parties, especially with baseball coming around. So we got a lot of ideas, folks, and we're going to continue to improve and continue to bring you Vol Talk Sports, baby,
Yeah.
because that's what we're all about, is talking about the Tennessee Volunteers. But
Yeah. I mean,
Austin, again, go ahead, please.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I want to say thanks to everyone too. Obviously, it's been pretty cool. I didn't know anybody would actually listen to us. I know when we started it. Shout out if any of you all are one of the 30 people to watch our inaugural video. The what was that? The season preview for the 2024 team. Yeah, it's been really fun, dude. It's fun having the little community. People who love the Vols. I mean, this is like one of our top passions in our life, dude. So it's really cool that we have yeah, we have people to talk about it with. It's just neat. And Lynn shouting out Dakota. Yes, would love to thank Dakota. Dakota's been on several episodes as special guest. He comes on a lot of our bigger shows, our longer format shows. Yeah, I want to thank him, and yeah, I want to thank all you all for listening, chatting, and just hanging out with us.
Yes, absolutely. At some point, Austin and I will, maybe in the off season, we're gonna get into kind of maybe our story about being Vols fans, right? I grew up in the '90s and watching the Vols be dominant in the '90s, and then being able to see us win the '98 championship, not in person, obviously on TV, but yeah, man, the Vols mean a ton to us, and it's a part of pride of being a Tennessean. It's a part of the pride of being from East Tennessee in particular, but really all of Tennessee, obviously, and the wider Vol nation, right? People
Mm-hmm.
people know what it means to be a Vol. People are my wife when she's from Western North Carolina. When she moved over here, she was like, "Man, everyone has these tees everywhere. What's going on?"
It's
And
different down
it's the
here,
pride of
man. It's different.
it's the pride of being it's pride of being a Tennessee Vol. So, but yeah, man, thank you all so much for your support. But Austin, let's get back to what the good folks have come for. The
Yep.
good folks have come for talking about the Vols. So we're going to round out this episode by talking about the other portal additions, Austin, because we have got some names that we talked about before. We did land a few good names that we're going to talk about, and then we'll briefly round out the conversation with basketball. But Austin, talk us through these other portal additions that we've got.
Yeah, so start with the big one. I thought I was very happy to pick this guy up, Donovan Haslam from West Virginia, guard from West Virginia. So I also got to shout out Kevin because Wendell Moe is back. I was wrong last live show. I swore all season that he was a senior, and I think looking back on it, maybe I just assumed that he was going to end up going to the league after this one season. But dude, our offensive line now is looking to me, like one of the best in the SEC, because you have, of course, David Sanders, standout true freshman. I believe if I had to predict right now, Blake, the plan for David Sanders is to move him to left tackle. And, I have
Mhm.
my own feelings on that, but they believe it's more valuable. So they're going to move David Sanders to left tackle. And if I'm not mistaken, in fact, I'm pretty confident in saying this, that David Sanders played left tackle in high school. So it's not just completely foreign to him. Joe Perry will end up going back out to tackle, which Perry was so good at tackle, dude. I mean, I cannot say enough good things about him last year. He was so good when he played at tackle. I was actually a little upset when they decided to mix up the offensive line lineup, because I actually think it hurt us for a couple of games. But he'll move back out to tackle. Or excuse me, I said Joe. I don't know why I said Joe Perry. Jesse Perry will move back out to tackle. I don't have no clue where I got Joe Perry. Anyways, y'all know I know Jesse Perry. And then the interior line now is looking really good, because Donovan Haslam, I looked up some of his PFF grading, really good player, experienced player. He'll plug into one of the guard positions. And then, of course, we're returning Wendell Moe and Sam Pendleton. So, I mean, that starting five to me is really good. And then, as Kevin pointed out last show, again, shout out to Kevin, then the portal edition and Ori Williams will be a swing tackle, which is really important, because you're not going, like, there's going to be an injury here and there. And plus, honestly, Heupel has shown with the high tempo offense, Blake, you want a couple backup linemen anyways to plug in for when they're tired or whatever. So Ori Williams will get a lot of playing time throughout the year as the swing tackle. Feeling really good about the offensive line. And that kind of ties back into what we were saying earlier with GMac, is that it's like, dude,
Right.
I mean, if the biggest concern is the size, and the only concern with the size is the injuries, the good offensive line should definitely help with that.
Yes, obviously it's critical, especially in the SEC, to be able to have that line that's going to protect our quarterback, and it's going to be even more critical if our quarterback has not got the size that we want exactly. So, yeah, love to see that for the offensive line. I hope that with David Sanders, that if we move him, it doesn't go the way that Lance Hurd did when we moved him.
Yeah.
That would be a nightmare, because David Sanders is looking promising for sure. But Austin, let's also talk about on defense. So we picked up TJ Metcalf from Michigan,
Yep.
which we talked about in one of our previous live shows, that we were looking for him. But then also, Austin, he came as a package deal. Now, it wasn't a Miami situation where we're bribing him by paying his sister as well. No, actually, he has a brother
Yeah.
who is
He plays football.
a pretty daggum good football player himself. So we landed. What his name is, Tevis Austin? Is that his first name?
Yeah.
Tevis Metcalf.
That sounds right.
Sounds right. So we got the Metcalf brothers, and we got a few other pickups on defense as well. Talk us through that, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I think TJ Metcalf is the big one. I think he played a bit more than his brother did, if I'm not mistaken. TJ Metcalf to me is our Jacoby Thomas replacement, which, by the way, we severely underrated coming into the season. First of all, Jacoby is obviously on that Miami team, who's now playing for a national championship tomorrow. The dude is an absolute animal, dude. I mean, I don't know. You have mixed feelings when a guy leaves. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's a Tennessee kid. He went to MTSU, committed here after MTSU, Blake. And I just love the way he plays football, man. He plays with violence. It's different. That dude, that's a different breed in this day and age of football. A lot of dudes don't want to
Yes.
get hit. They don't want to deliver hits, man. It's just, you don't see it as much. The game has changed. The rules have changed. Jacoby Thomas is a throwback, man. He's the kind of guy that, I grew up watching, and even, dad grew up watching, like, he is a violent guy. I think TJ Metcalf has a little bit of that in him. So I'm kind of happy that it appears to me, when you go get a guy like TJ Metcalf and his highlight reel is nothing but big hits and just violence all over the place, like, the coaching staff realized, wow, Jacoby made a huge difference last year. And we need to go out there and replace that and get a guy like that back. So I'm extremely excited to see what he can do on defense. One and most of this is good news because we're starting to get some depth in the portal, plug a lot of holes, Blake. One bad news is Gavin Freeman, a guy that we were all of us were kind of excited about picking up. He decommitted. Another problem with NIL. Guys committing in the portal
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
committing somewhere else. It's just like you can't celebrate nothing these days, man.
You really can't, unfortunately. It's just, again, I guess we're not going to get into that too much. If y'all want to hear our thoughts on that, rewind a little bit to the Danny White conversation and so on, because, yeah, it's crazy world that we're living in college football right now. A quick shout out to a couple people in the chat. Austin, we got some questions rolling in. As far as I understand, we got Ben asking about the strength and conditioning coach, which is a good question, right? Especially for the GMac conversation. As far as I know, Austin, we don't have any news yet on the strength and conditioning coach. So at least that's what I have seen, that we don't have anyone named as the new strength and conditioning director yet. Austin, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
That sounds right to me. I haven't heard of
Yeah.
anything either.
Yeah, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it, obviously, for sure. Shout out to Backflip earlier in the chat. I meant to shout it out, but he talked about GMac and feeding him some cheeseburgers to try to get some weight on him. I don't know. Figure out something that works. Surely,
according to
God,
conspiracy theorists
right?
in our chat or insiders, he has food allergies. So I don't know what those allergies are. Some of y'all are, I guess, more plugged in than us. We don't have a ton of connections, so I don't know what those food allergies are and what's going on with that. But yeah, he definitely needs to put on some pounds if he can.
Yeah, but we will definitely keep a pulse on the strength and conditioning coach, and we'll obviously put out some information in one of our shows once we have news on that. Yes, Matt SS in the chat. Welcome, Matt. He says 1K subs, and yes, we hit that just a few minutes ago. Again, thank you all very much, Austin. I meant to say earlier, right? Like, we're still growing, right? We unfortunately we don't have any prizes or anything like that for like some sort of Mr. Beast style, giving away, Vols tickets or something, 1K. But one day, maybe once we hit 10K subs, we can do something crazy like that. But for right now, it's our appreciation. We thank you guys so much, and we're going to continue to improve the channel for sure. So, Austin, any other portal updates that we want to talk about? So, yeah, just real quick, I want to say on your, talking about playing with violence, I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm an old school guy. I love to hear that. I love to hear a guy playing with passion. Again, Al Wilson, one of my favorite players from back in the day in the 90s. He was that kind of guy. Any other big shouts on defense, though, outside of the Metcalf brothers that you want to talk through?
Yeah, so edge rushers. Of course, we got Chaz Coleman.
Yes.
We covered that. We actually have a specific clip on the channel if you all want to check that out. We got Jordan Norman from Tulane. As far as my estimation is concerned, Blake, Jordan Norman will be on the other side of Chaz Coleman this season because we have no other additions at edge rusher. And I mean, this article I'm looking at says our key returners, Christian Gass, who has barely any playing time. I think we also have Weathersby coming back. It's a very thin edge room. I'm actually kind of surprised. I don't know if we're maybe somebody in the chat will know this, but I'm not actually positive if we're targeting any other edge guys at this moment in time. We should be, though. We definitely should be. That's not enough. But I do expect Jordan Norman. I saw a little bit of his tape, looked really good. Yeah, again, has some explosion off the edge, decent bend. So yeah, interested to see him and Chaz Coleman. I mean, again, like you have to replace Josephs, you have to replace Jordan Ross, and then we also lost Caleb Herring, so there's a lot to replace there. And I think Chaz Coleman. I think Chaz Coleman has a chance to be better than any of those guys I just named. But again, the depth is kind of weak. I know there's a couple defensive linemen we're still targeting. I mean, D linemen are another position of need that we need. We've picked up a few guys, or actually, I think as of now, we maybe have only picked up Gilliam. I know we have some other guys on the roster, though, younger guys on the roster. But D-line in general, man, edge and interior, still, I think, a position of need. So hopefully there's some guys left over in the portal that we can kind of fill out the roster with.
Yeah, absolutely. edge rusher for sure. Like you mentioned, obviously we need, we talked about that a couple shows ago. Kevin and others were talking in the chat about how, man, we're going to need a few edge rushers, right? Because of kind of our losses there and just the fact that we need depth at that position.
Yep.
So definitely hoping for that, hoping for more D-line depth in general. Just a couple quick shout outs in the chat. Matt saying, hey, we need to break the bank on a strength and conditioning coach, and he is absolutely right. And Kevin saying that apparently the early favorite is Indiana's guy, which maybe Austin explains why we haven't heard any news yet, right? Waiting for Indiana to finish their season. If we are potentially going to get Indiana's strength and conditioning coach, apparently he knows Heupel maybe. So it'll be interesting to see, but we'll keep a pulse on that. Kevin says that apparently it's a gluten problem for GMac. Man, if you can't get carbs, you're gonna struggle to put on weight, brother. Look,
yeah,
I got a lot of excess weight on me, and I will be honest with you folks, the good viewers at home, it is mostly because of gluten. I will tell you that much. Yeah. I will mostly tell you it is mostly gluten. But yeah, Austin. So need more edge rushers, need more D-line depth. But we did get some nice pickups in the secondary. Hoping for that. And in general, Austin, hoping, we had some folks in the chat, I think it was Ben earlier, talking about a big defensive jump this year because of these pieces and these starters that we've brought in from the portal and because of the coaching changes, brother.
Yeah, I feel really confident the defense is going to be better, man. I don't see a scenario where it's not. I get there's still question marks. Like you're losing like you're losing Colton Hood, you're losing Joshua Josephs. Like I understand that. However, I don't know, man. Like we were in the 90s and 100s as far as rankings on defense are concerned. Like if you're in the 50s and 60s, you took a big jump, and the 50s and 60s are like average. Like so. Like if the defense becomes average next year, that's a massive jump forward. And you added a ton of talent. I mean, we probably have 8 new starters on defense after the portal, man. It's just been, you have a new nickelback, you have a new boundary corner, you have 2 new edge rushers, basically a whole new built defensive line, linebacking room. Who knows with the Arion Carter situation, how that will play out. But I believe you'll at least have, Campbell will definitely be starting. He didn't come here to be a backup. So he'll be in the lineup as well. And then the safeties, the safety turnover. We basically, dude, they're still targeting safeties, man. They heard the criticism and they saw, listen, fans can be savvy. A lot of times you identify an issue, the coaches also know it's an issue. And so like the safeties have been a very clear emphasis in the offseason. So we'll see, like the defense is going to look completely different next year. New scheme, as you mentioned, Blake, with the new coaching staff and completely new personnel. And I think with Chaz Coleman, I keep bringing him up because I think this could be the game changer that we haven't seen on defense in a minute. Like James Pierce is a really good player, and he was a game changer at times, but he wasn't Derek Barnett dominant in college, right? He wasn't getting to the quarterback, and James Pierce is going to be a better NFL player than Barnett was, but you get my point, Blake. Like a guy that is on the field, like when he's on the field, you can see the difference every time he's out there. And that's what I'm looking for. Kind of like McCoy. We could say that with Jermon McCoy, right? We saw him, like when the ball went his way, he was locking the receiver down, or you just didn't see him because the quarterback wasn't throwing that way. Like you can tell when Jermon McCoy is out on the field. We need that. And I think Chaz Coleman could be that off the edge this year.
I really hope so, for sure. I would love to see that if he ends up being that guy. He certainly has the potential for that, for sure. And, that could bring us back to prominence on defense. And if we can put it together, man, if we can just put together a year where we've got the offense clicking and the defense riding high.
Be the first time in Heupel's history.
I tell you, it sure would be. It sure would be. So, quick shout out to Charles McFall. Charles is new to the channel. Welcome, Charles. We thank you very much for joining the channel, for your support. We're glad you're here. We're glad everyone's here, all the new subscribers today. We really appreciate you guys. But Charles is asking about, he says he came in late. He's asking about the quarterback visiting from Colorado. So, yeah, folks, if you missed the conversation in the thumbnail, which is, a lot of you might be clicking for the thumbnail. We talked about that at the top of the show. So go back, rewind, and check that out. We talked about the quarterback situation, which is looking like, hey, it's looking like GMac is going to be our QB1. And so, yes, we did have a quarterback, Ryan Stobe, as I understand is his name is pronounced, Ryan Stobe from Colorado, visited. We don't have any definitive news yet. It looks, Austin, like he would be a depth piece for sure.
Yes.
If he were to come here. So, and of
I
course, we're
hope.
still waiting to see what. Right. We hope.
Like if he's the
But who
starting
knows? Maybe,
option, then we're ugh,
it's yeah,
it's not
it's
looking good,
probably
man.
looking.
It's not looking
It's
good.
probably not looking good. But again, Heupel has been known to be a quarterback whisperer, so who
Yeah,
knows?
for
Um,
sure.
but a quick shout to Rebel. He says that GMAC might have high metabolism and can't gain weight. I have a cousin that weighs 130 pounds soaking wet, but eats like he's on my 600-pound life.
Dude.
Yeah, who knows, man?
I
We
got a
got a lot
cousin
of
like that too. I got an 18-year-old cousin just like that. I seen
yes,
him put down
exactly.
4 bean burritos from Taco Bell the other day like nothing.
And he's still Austin. I don't even know if he's 100 pounds soaking wet. That boy is he's tiny.
Slight.
So he is slight indeed. And then shout out to Ben joining the chat as well. Not to be confused with Ben Sherman. Thank you all for the chats. So Austin, any other final kind of portal additions that we got to talk about?
I will. Kevin mentioned the Scott kid from Ohio State, the cornerback. He was a former 5-star. That was a big miss. People were not happy about not hitting him. And man, now I'm blanking on where he committed. He committed, but yeah, somewhere recently. Not Ohio State. He left Ohio State. So yeah, that was a miss. Unfortunately, that was another guy I was hoping, because I actually think he would have ended up being the boundary corner outside of Ty Redmond. But you know, when you already have that kid from Auburn coming in, maybe that deterred him. I really don't know. That's another thing. And God, we talked about NIL so much today, but it's also like some of these dudes these days, it's like you don't want to compete. Like you're so not
Right.
confident in your abilities that you're so worried about someone else being on the roster. Yeah, things are changing, man. Things are changing, and a lot of these kids, man, they will never make it in the league. They won't even make it a special teams guy. Like that's just how I feel about it. Like when you're scared to compete for your position, like because someone else is on the roster, you have absolutely no chance to play on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You got to have a little bit more competitive edge than that.
Yeah.
It should hopefully motivate you if you want to make the next level. But like you said, Austin, apparently that's not a dream anymore. Apparently, it's just get the bag now and take it and run. But
Yeah.
again, we won't digress into that conversation again. But folks, thanks for and Kevin says in the chat that it was Oregon. Apparently he went to Oregon. So
Classic.
um,
Classic.
yeah, classic. And Kevin shouting out the
Sure.
Tulane edge rusher will be a big ad as well. So
I'm
yeah, man.
sure.
Look, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Blake. I was just gonna say I'm sure that Oregon money wasn't involved. There no motivation for money there
Right.
at all.
No, they
Just
definitely don't
purely
have connections to
nah.
Nike's founder, who has the deepest pockets in college football. Yeah, no,
Yeah. Had nothing to
definitely
do with
not.
money.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Ryan. Ryan is also an OG supporter of the channel. Ryan
yes.
says that we got some good defensive pieces. Great show as always. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I think ultimately everyone agrees, right, that we love to see these defensive additions, and everyone's feeling confident that we've at least upgraded Austin. Of course,
Yeah.
not hard to upgrade from the product last year, but
It was
nevertheless,
not.
trending in the right direction. So shout out to R. Parton in the chat, calling it now. Joey gets another year. I hope, man. I hope you're right. Ty
Hope you're
Valley
right.
also in the chat. Thinks so. So y'all are on the miracle train. I hope that you are right. We will see.
But
Austin,
February
let's round
10th,
out.
Blake, that's a long time away.
That's a long time away. That's dang near a month still away.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean we're who knows? Honestly, Austin, if we're scraping the bottom of the barrel anyway, maybe we're telling this Colorado kid, hey, we appreciate you. Stand by the phone, and we'll call you on February 11th. If we need you.
True.
We'll call. Don't call us. We'll call you.
We'll call you.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? But Austin, man, it's been a great show. We got over 50 people watching for over an hour now. We've been going for an hour and a half. Thank you all so much. And again, yes, thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. We have officially hit 1,000 subscribers. not in our wildest dreams. Especially, look, don't go back and look at our original videos. You're gonna cringe if you do. But we just had to get the train rolling. We had to get the podcast started. We got it started. It was not good, but suffice it to say, Austin, that back when we started, we never thought we would be in this position that we are now. So
Yeah.
we can't thank
And
everyone enough.
they weren't that bad. You're not giving us enough credit. It's
That-
just
they weren't
if you
that
can
bad.
get past some really awful audio, then yeah, they're okay. I give them a solid C minus.
Awful audio and awful camera angles, but
True.
but
Very true.
we improved. You can at least say that we improved, no doubt. But Austin, let's kind of round out this show with real quick. We got to rip the Band-Aid off about hey, appreciate you, Ben. Thank you for joining, buddy. We'll see you next week. Real quick, Austin, we'll round out the show with a quick conversation on basketball. So the Lady Vols, I'll start with the good. The Lady Vols, Austin, they play Alabama tonight, and the Lady Vols so far are undefeated in SEC play.
Yep.
So we hope that continues. It's a top 25 matchup with Alabama. So hoping that we can beat Alabama tonight. And the Lady Vols and the Lady Vols, they have 3 losses. 2 of them were pretty bad, but all 3 of those losses are against great teams this year so far, top 20 teams. 2 of them against top 10 teams. So hoping to see the Lady Vols continue their SEC play, Austin. But the men, brother, oh my gosh, I cannot believe they dropped that game against Kentucky last night. That's just absolutely crazy to me.
I texted my buddies and told them that basketball talk on Vol Talk is canceled the rest of the year after that. It was listen, I like basketball and I watched the game, people. I watched the game because I was like, hey, if we beat Kentucky now, like I know Kentucky's not that good this year, but you got the gritty win against A&M at home in overtime on Tuesday, and then you could go on a little streak here, and maybe basketball becomes a more prominent topic. Maybe we give it 10 minutes instead of 3 minutes. Unfortunately, they had one of the most embarrassing losses, I would say, just by the nature of it, right? You're completely dominating the first half, Blake, and you blew like a 17, 18 point lead at some point and ended up losing. We led for 99% of the game, Blake. 99% of the game we had the lead, but not for the 1% that mattered. We didn't.
Right. And it's so, to me, I don't know. It's so unlike, I texted you this. It's so unlike a Rick Barnes team to me. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have any data to back that up. But my gosh, it's just like, come on, I mean, it's just so and it was in Thompson Bowling, Austin. It's so frustrating. It's in Thompson Bowling, and you lead for 99% of the game. And then at the very end of the game, you let them complete the comeback and win the game. It's very frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating. And they're a tough watch right now. Like, I know you haven't got a chance to watch them this year. They are a tough watch at the current moment, dude. It's turnover. It's just ugly basketball, man. And listen, Rick Barnes has been known for some ugly basketball as far as offense is concerned. True. That's a fact. But yeah, blowing these leads, it's just the undisciplined nature of it. I think that's where you're getting at. There's just no discipline right now whatsoever. Just awful turnovers, man. I mean, there was a turnover yesterday where I think Gillespie was throwing a pass to, man, I forget who it was. It was one of our big guys. It wasn't Carey. But anyway, the dude didn't even go for the pass. The dude didn't just stood there and just looked at the ball go out of bounds. Like, what are you doing? You're not ready for the basketball? I mean, you're in. You're not on the bench. Like, you need to be looking for the basketball at all times. And I mean, he was staring right at him too. I mean, it was amazing to me, dude. It was just incredible. And the free throw shooting, I mean, I could go on. And it's unfortunate because Amon's actually starting to play a little better, Blake. He's actually starting to get a little bit more physical. He's starting to actually look like incrementally. He's not living up to the hype. Trust me, he's not living up to the 4 million we're paying him either. But he's getting incrementally better. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He's also been a complete and utter liability on the road this year. So, and these last 2 games were at home. So, I don't know, man. It's a tough watch right now. I would love to sit here and talk about him more, but dude, at this point, there's no guarantee this team's going to be in the tournament. And I know nobody wants to talk about us in the NIT. Like nobody wants to talk about that.
We thought with Coach Barnes, we thought we were past the NIT days, but unfortunately, look, it's still early, right? This team does have a chance. We have some good wins, Austin. We have some good wins. Like you said, we've got some gritty wins, good, decent wins, but you're going to need to see a little bit more out of this team. You're going to need to see them gel. And look, to be fair, our previous team was Zakai and Meshack and all of them played together for so long. They were really, gelled, but man,
Blake, I know some people that underrated that, man. Y'all underrated. Like, I get Zakai Ziegler's 5'9". He can't go up and dunk. He's not an NBA type player, but y'all underrated 5 years of continuity in college basketball, dude. Like, him and Meshack were, and Kevin's saying they need more leadership. Like, yeah, I mean, when you lose like an A++ leader in Meshack and Zakai Ziegler, it takes a hit, man. And it's like, we have talented players. Now listen, Ament has, I mean, everyone knows he hasn't lived up to the hype at the end of the day, like his talent. But Gillespie has, like, I mean, he's been amazing. I mean, he's been phenomenal. He's been the only reason to watch the basketball team pretty much a lot of the year. And a lot of other like guys have taken steps. Like Carey's gotten better. Boswell's gotten better, but it's like, they're not meshing. I mean, there's just something off. It's not gelling. And like, that was kind of part of our question going into the year. It's like, will they gel? Like, it looks talented on paper, but will they gel? Because a lot of these guys haven't played together, and it's not gelling right now. It's just not looking good.
Not looking good. We're going to hope for a turnaround. We hope that they can bounce back and gel at least enough to get to the big dance, right? We would hate to miss the tournament. I mean, that would just be devastating. So hope that they can turn around, start to gel, and start to get some better wins in the SEC. As Ben noted in the chat, we've got the Lady Vols, I think, Austin, officially tipping off if they haven't already. So folks, hopefully we didn't plan it that way, but we'll kind of hand you off to the Lady Vols game if you want to go watch some Lady Vols basketball. But they're playing Alabama, so we obviously hope that they beat the Crimson Tide, and then we're going to hope that Rick Barnes and this men's basketball team can turn around and start getting some W's in that win column again. So we are going to keep a pulse on the basketball team. We're going to keep a pulse on both basketball teams. But as Rebel pointed out in the chat, brother, it's about a month until fall baseball. So can't wait to see what Elander can do taking over Tony V's team. So
I'm so excited to watch the baseball team. I mean, as far as live Vol sports are concerned, that's what I have marked on my calendar. We'll definitely be covering baseball, probably heavier than basketball at the current moment, to be completely honest. And so, yeah, I'm very excited for baseball season, man. Can't wait. And then, of course, as Blake always says, we'll continue to keep a pulse on everything football. We'll have updates on that when pretty much every week if there's something to update.
And Austin, it looks like there's going to be something at least for the next few weeks, right? Because we're trying to figure out what the heck's going to happen with our quarterback. So yeah, we're definitely going to keep you guys posted on the quarterback situation, on the portal, and the football team strength and conditioning coach if we get news on that. But then, of course, we're going to keep a pulse on the basketball team, and then we will also be excited for baseball season to start. So, folks, look, if you haven't already, we hit the 1,000 subscribers, but please hit that sub button if you haven't already.
Now it's road to 2K, Blake.
Now it's road to 2K. Hey, we're 10K. Straight away. Yeah, 10K. Hey, road to 10K. Who knows? We can't thank you guys enough for the support that you showed us today. It was a great show, Austin. we had a ton of viewers and a ton of new subscribers. So we really appreciate it. And we appreciate that support. Yeah, we're gonna ignore Matt's. We're gonna ignore Matt's chat. We're not gonna end it.
Tune into
We're
NFL
not gonna,
playoffs instead, people. It doesn't look like the
that's
Ladies
right.
Vols are going well today.
We're gonna not end on that note. We're gonna end on a good note. Just Josh and you just joining. Hey, no problem, buddy. Good to see you, just Josh and you. But again, folks, thank you all so much for the support. Shout out to Spotify as well. Give us a follow on Spotify. Give us a rating on Spotify as well. We'd appreciate that. We're gonna continue to improve Vol Talk for you, folks.
Oh, yeah.
We love doing this show and we love chatting with you guys. So we love talking about the Vols, Austin. But
another thing, real quick, Blake, as soon enough, we're going to, and no promises as far as the timeline, but we will be more active on the other social media soon enough. Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. We have a little activity on Twitter here and there, but soon enough, we're going to start posting those things if you're on those pages. We have the Twitter and Instagram created if you all want to go follow, just not a lot of activity from us at the current moment in time.
Correct. Austin and I are duly engaged. Again, we ain't sponsored, right? We ain't making a penny from this thing, even though YouTube's been running ads on our videos. By
Unreal.
The way. We don't
Unreal that they're running ads on our videos, by the
way. We don't see a penny from this yet. And so we're still working men, Austin. We still got to pay the bills. With both of us have 2 jobs technically. And so and that's not including Vol Talk. So yeah. We haven't
Vol
been
Talk's
able to
just
keep
fun.
up. Vol Talk's just fun. We haven't been able to keep up with the other social medias as much, but we will definitely be expanding those as we can. We're going to continue to improve Vol Talk in general for you guys because we owe it to you guys. You guys support us, and we want to continue to bring you guys fun content about the Vols, who we love. So, again, thank you all so much. We really enjoyed the show today. We're going to catch you guys on the next live show next week, Sunday, around 11:30 a.m. Eastern, around about 12 p.m. Eastern, whatever it ends up being. Until then, folks, as always, go freaking Vols, baby.
GBO.